communication and pledge today.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all you've done for us. This weather that finally seemed to have broken through and has been nice. And you made our lady raiders safe as they made their way to Lubbock, Texas. Thank you. And watch over us as we make decisions that will affect the future outcome of this institution. In your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have your board book there with the agenda for today's meeting. You've had a chance to look it over. We'll entertain a motion to approve it.
Make a motion.
I think I'll second that.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. You also have your minutes from last month's board meeting. You've had a chance to look those over. If not, look them over real quick and we'll.
I think I would like to make a motion to approve these minutes as presented.
Sir?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ms. Eubank, you have a financial report for us today.
I certainly do. We'll turn the board books on page 7. We look at, this is as of January the 31st of the current fiscal year compared to the same time last fiscal year. You can see that tuition and fees, of course, is below last year's targets. That's part of that enrollment pattern that we've been seeing of decreased enrollments. But you can see in some of our other categories, we've actually exceeded where we were last year, both in some of our revenue categories as well as on the following page, having actually saved some on the expense side. So you can see on page 9, revenues minus expenses were just about dead even when you combine it all together. So pretty much same place we were last fiscal year, so that's good news. Following that then on page 12, we look at budget to actual with our preliminary February numbers. So that's 67% of the fiscal year. The top half there looking at our revenue projections. Again, looking at tuition and fees, probably lagging a little behind where we'd like them to be. Not unexpected as we've seen, again, the enrollment patterns. So that's probably something we may want to address in the next month's budget amendments. We still have summer to go, so that will help close some of that gap. Then you can see we've actually exceeded our budgeted revenue in the non-operating revenue category. That's our property tax revenue primarily. So we're actually collecting a bit more there than what we had budgeted, so that will help as well. On the bottom half of the page, looking at our expenses, we've been very conservative on those as well. Using that 67% sort of as a guideline, you can see that pretty much every category is at or below that target. Following that, then on page 14, we see our capital budget. We're making some progress on those. The work on the Sykeston roof has begun, and as well as continuation of the upgrades on this building at Westover, as well as some projects that we had funded through CARES, such as the keyless entry locks, and some of the work at the art gallery and the ball fields. Looking at our cash position on page 17, I think we mentioned last month that we had some funds to move over from our unrestricted category into the designated reserves to bring us back up to that 25% target. So you can see that reflected in that now. We don't have any changes to CDs on page 18 and 19. We continue to hold contingency funds in the checking, is actually still getting a better return than we would on CDs right now. And we do not have any open bids through the college, although I do think we're still working on the HVAC bid with Mr. College.
Questions for Ms. Eubank today? accept the financial report as presented?
So moved.
I'll second Amber's motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Payne with the President's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start off making this thing work. With the next trivia night. This is an endowment trust event that is aimed at going to scholarships for students at Dexter. Very successful event. They raised $630 that'll go into Dexter specific scholarships. We appreciate all the teams that came out. Also, we happily were finally able to host the District 20 FBLA conference on February 18th. I believe that was their third attempt to get that done because of weather and other things. This is a great event because it brings all of these kids onto our campus. We get to host their intermediate competition, and then they'll move off into other state level and national competition. But we've been partners with them for a number of years. It's a great relationship, and it really gives us great exposure to a group of kids that we really would like to successfully recruit. Then I'm going to ask Dr. Phelan to talk about the SEMO Superintendent Luncheon.
Well, good afternoon. March 2nd, the superintendents and school administrators from the Southeast region attended the Missouri Association of School Administrators meeting held in the Tenant Center. There were discussions on current issues facing school districts, the development of the K-12 budgets, because it's also their budgeting time as well. Also legislation that's happening in the House and Senate, and also discussed some legal matters. So it's kind of interesting because having been a public school teacher for a long time, I always wondered what administrators talked about in some of their meetings, so it's kind of interesting to hear that. Dr. Faye Sanders, who's lead instructor for our education program, was invited to kind of give an update on our program here. There's a statewide effort called the Grow Your Own program to address teacher shortages, so she kind of discussed that a little bit. We do have a course or two that kind of aligns with that program, so she talked about that. And then there was probably 40 or 50 people there, so it was a pretty good turnout. And then after that, they had a luncheon and everything, so it was a good event. We were involved with it, so that's always good. They held it on our campus, so they got to see our campus, so good things all around with that, so thank you.
Any questions? All right, then we hosted the women's D1 basketball semifinals and championship game for Region 16 tournament, and not only did we host it, we won the whole thing. So the Lady Raiders basketball team is now in Lubbock, Texas, preparing for their first game of national finals on Thursday, 2 p.m. at the Rip Griffin Center. Anybody that wants to watch the game, you can go to njcaa.org and you can live stream it there through a subscription. March 9th, we had a showing of the movie Harriet. This was originally planned as part of our celebration of February's Black History Month, but it was rescheduled due to weather. This is an additive piece that is relatively new, that the group came up with the idea of doing it. So we didn't have a huge crowd, but we did have a small interested crowd at both the 2 o'clock and the evening showing, with good feedback from the group. Then on March 10th, we held Poplar Bluff Trivia Night. We had 20 total teams. The room was fairly packed. The winning team had a number of our employees on it, so that's always a good showing. If you're going to be a college teacher and participate in trivia, it's always better if you win. But very successful. This goes to our Black and Gold Scholarship, and the Black and Gold Scholarship is aimed at those emergency needs that students come up with. One of the examples that we presented to the group to explain to them the benefit of what we were doing
is we had a completely online student whose laptop totally went dead, couldn't be repaired, and because of the Black and Gold Scholarship, we were able to provide her with a laptop that kept her from withdrawing from college. So this particular scholarship, semester after semester, meets some critical needs with our students in emergency situation that keeps them in school and keeps them moving forward. And on to upcoming events. We've talked about the JUCO National Tournament for the Lady Raiders. They will play first Thursday at 2 o'clock, and then as we win, we'll be off Friday, play Saturday, play Sunday, with the national championship on Monday. And then they will return to us on Tuesday. And we're not going to talk about anything different because that's the way that's going to be. Daily and Vincent, it's a partner show between the Rogers Theater and the Patrons of the Arts. That's March 20th. Tickets are available, $30 a piece, 7 p.m. March 20th. Multiple Grammy Award winners right there. Alvin Youngblood Hart, Grammy Award winning blues musician, will be at the Ten and Fine Arts Center on March 24th. Tickets are $15. That is part of the Patrons of the Arts series. Spelling Bee will be hosted here face to face, first time in 2 years, on March 26th. This is a partnership we started a number of years ago where we bring in all of the local winners of school spelling bees, and we host the competition that will allow them to compete nationally. So the winner of this spelling bee goes to the National Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C. College Transfer Fair will be here April 6th at the Best Activity Center. Number of colleges, our transfer partners, will be represented there. It is a wonderful opportunity for our students who are planning to transfer to a four-year institution to gain exposure and talk to advisors and recruiters from a multitude of different universities. Also, our university center partners are part of that event, and so they have access to students who might not have been aware that they are here on campus and that you can complete a number of baccalaureate degrees without ever leaving home. Then on April 7th, another patron show, Unforgettable Century, which is a tribute show to Nat King Cole. $15 tickets on sale now. Then Rhonda Vincent, April 8th at the Rogers Theater. That's a partner show between the Patrons of the Art and the Rogers. Tickets are on sale now, and they're $30. And then April 9th, we had this scheduled as a day at the ballpark with the Cardinals. However, they canceled all of the games that we had planned to go to because of the baseball lockout. And we then contacted the Redbirds, who were extremely happy to accommodate us. And in fact, we've gotten a lot of very positive feedback from this because we have third base dugout seating for the Redbirds. It includes a hot dog, a hat, and a drink. So it's going to be a fun time at the ballpark. We're just going south instead of north. So we'll see how that works. We may end up partnering with the Redbirds instead of the Cardinals in the future. Our Distinguished Alumni Reception, April 11th at the Ten and Fine Arts Center. Dr. Amy Rowland is this year's Distinguished Alumni and will be our commencement speaker. Music Department Spring Recital is April 12th at the Ten and Fine Arts Center. That is a free show. These kids do a huge amount of work to get ready for this, and they do put on a great show. Easter break, April 14th, 15th, and 18th. College will be closed the 15th and 18th. And that, sir, is the president.
Good. We do have a brief few items to address in executive session. So we'll get a motion to go into executive session at this time.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Richardson?
Yes.
Trustee Garrison?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Featherston?
Yes, we're adjourning into executive session now. Thank you all.
If I could have Christina and Mr. Richardson.
Or we'd have to meet each other.
All right, looks like we are ready for item 6, consideration, discussion, and vote on it. 1, looks like college policy.
Yes, we have, 2 policies coming before you, GAP 1101 and, PP 4520. The changes that are involved in here are very minor. They simply had to do with revision, in the addition of pay periods for withholding of debts to the college. No practical, changes as to the means were made. It's just the specificity of what pay dates were involved. So it's our recommendation and request that you approve that.
Do we have a motion to approve it?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
There's not roll call.
Is that a roll call vote?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's back up.
Trustee Richardson?
Yes.
Trustee Garrison?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Featherston?
Yes. We have several items in your packet there for personnel actions and associated documents. If you had a chance to look those over, any discussion or motion to approve?
I think we should make a motion to approve those as presented, all attached documentation.
Is there a second?
We'll second that.
Motion and a second.
Trustee Richardson?
Yes.
Trustee Garrison?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Featherston?
Yes. If there is nothing else, our next meeting is back on a Wednesday again, on April 20th. If nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Oh, I guess we don't have, do one more aye?